All right, so let's go ahead and talk about our essential question of what is the sun's role in the water cycle? So remember to pause and rewind as you need so that way you can have appropriate understanding. And of course, make sure that you have something to write on, something to write with, so that way you can take any relevant notes that you need throughout this in order to have the most success possible on your practice and your replies. All right, so let's go ahead and review the water cycle. Remember, there's four main parts of the water cycle that we talk about. We have evaporation and transpiration, and we have condensation and precipitation. All right, so we have this water cycle. It's called a cycle because it's continually going around and around. Everything always repeats. So we have this water in streams, oceans, and lakes, and then also we have our plants taking in water as well. And then that sun causes that evaporation when it heats up that water and it evaporates into water vapor. And transpiration is how those plants regulate how much water is inside of them. So the transpiration, remember, is in the plant, release that water back into the atmosphere as well. So now we have water vapor up here. And once we have that water vapor, then as it rises into our atmosphere, remember it's colder as we rise up in our atmosphere, because it is cooler, that's when it then starts to condense into clouds. Once there's enough condensation into those clouds, they get quote unquote heavy enough, and that's when we have precipitation, which is that rain, snow, or sleet. So now that water is coming back down to the earth and either is going to become that groundwater or runoff. Remember, runoff is like when you're playing, or when it rains in the street and the water runs off the street because it doesn't have anywhere to go and it goes into the drains. And then again, we start this whole process over. Looking a little bit more into each part, we can think about how evaporation is a direct cause of solar radiation. When those temperatures warm, that's what it causes, and that's when it goes from a liquid to a vapor. When it cools down, that's when condensation. So really the sun's main role is over here in evaporation, but then the temperature still has to do with our condensation. And a great example that we probably see on the daily is when our mirror fogs up after taking a hot shower. So that hot shower causes steam, which is that water vapor, but then your mirror is very cool, which is what causes that condensation or that fog up on there. And that can be the same as like when the water droplets form on grass after a cool night. After those clouds form and they get heavy enough, that's when we cause that precipitation, which can sometimes cause so much runoff that it can cause flooding. And then again, we always circle right back around. All right, friends, please make sure that you have rewound or paused as much as you needed. Of course, reach out to me with any questions, and when you're ready, go ahead and move on to your practice.